You seen Devon Witherspoon play?
Absolutely. Really, really good player. I think that, he's a guy that you can build around. I think he loves football. There's a guy that would fit into the category that I'm talking about. Like, he's a football player. Like, he loves playing football. Like, he's an outside corner. Pete says, hey, we're down some injuries. We want you to go inside and play inside. No problem. I'll do it. I'll go in there. I'll get a pick six. I'll get a couple sacks, and I'll show out on Monday Night Football. That's the guy that just wants to play ball. Like, I'm willing to do what it takes. Whatever position you put me in, if you teach me what to do, I can go out and do it. I love him. I think, the key for him and the key for Pete and those guys out there, where do you put him at? Like, do you put him outside where he can kind of, do what he's really good at, which is, I think, covering people, or do you put him inside where maybe he can make some more impactful plays more consistently, being involved at that nickel spot? I think that's the biggest quandary around him.
It's been kind of cool seeing him do both, where on early downs you can put him outside, and then on the nickel you can bring somebody, you can bring in another outside corner and then move him inside on third down. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, most teams are playing nickel 65 to 70% of the time. So, the days where, first and second down, we're in base, like those days are pretty much over with. Most teams are playing in, 3 wide receiver sets anyway. So 70% of the time, 65, 70% of the time, you're going to be in nickel anyway. So that's the reason why I kind of say you kind of need to figure out where you're going to put him at.
Mm-hmm. Boog, you played with John Lynch. When I think of John Lynch, I think of a guy that in a very short area could deliver a blow and just snap people's head back. Spoon is unbelievable in that way. His college tape jumped off the film. I wondered if it would translate to the NFL, hitting dudes at this level week in and week out, Boog. And every week he has one of these hits where he is just sawing somebody in half, where their body just jolts, and he's 180-some pounds. How did Lynch do it? How did some of the hardest hitters that you were around, how in that just short area did they have that much explosion?
Well, first and foremost, you got to prepare your body each and every week. I don't care what kind of mindset you have. Like, the human body is only going to be able to do what it can. And so you got to prepare every week. John Lynch would show up every day, man, at 6 o'clock, regardless of whether he was hurt or not. And he was put his body through this stretching routine. And it took about 45 minutes. He did it every day. And, the first time I'm like, man, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, is he hurt? But he did it every day. And it's just a bunch of stretches to keep his body nice and loose and limber. And to his credit, man, I played with John Lynch a long time. I never saw him hurt. Like, yeah, we all get bumps and bruises, but John Lynch showed up each and every Sunday. So what I would say to Spoon, man, if you're going to hit like that, like, you got to prepare your body, man. Like, you got to go in there. You got to get in that cold tub, and you got to ice, and you got to stretch, and you got to do all those different things, because as great and as ferocious as he is as a hitter, he can't do that for 15 years at 180 pounds. I don't know if he could do it for 5 straight years at 185 pounds. So he's got to pick and choose his spots, when and how he does that, which is, again, why I go back to, where do you play him at? Do you keep him outside except maybe on third down, and then you put him inside? Because the more he's inside, the more you're going to ask him to be physical, and he's got to tackle 200, 215-pound backs. And I get it. It looks great now when you're 21 years old. But what does it look like when you're 23, 24 years old? And now, you get to that second contract, and, you're still trying to put these hits on these bigger backs, because the laws of physics says the bigger man's always, at some point, the bigger man's going to win. I don't care how big of an impact he's making. So, again, really, really good player, off to a fantastic start. Just really got to be smart with him, because the future is so bright.
You have the NFC figured out? You have a sense as to what this conference is going to look like when it's all said and done?
I think we have a pretty decent idea. Like, talent always usually wins, man. Like, it, and I get it. It's football. This is not a 7-game series. But generally speaking, talent wins. I think when you look at the NFC, I would start and say Philly looks to have a formula that, regardless of how the ball bounces or how the weather goes, that formula translates anywhere. They're really good up front on defense. They're really good up front on offense. The quarterback can run the football. He's become a better passer. Like, there are very few scenarios where that doesn't equate to being in every football game. Dallas, can the quarterback perform in the biggest of moments? Because they're as talented as Philadelphia, maybe not as deep, but they're as talented. How does that go? Detroit, I think we saw Detroit step up in class against Baltimore, even though they're in the AFC. And I think there's a different level that Detroit wasn't aware of that they got to go back to the drawing board. I don't know if anybody looks at the NFC South or anybody in the South as a real contender. I think we got a couple of cool stories. Baker, can he be and revive his career? What are they going to do in Atlanta with Ritter? And then out west, man, I think, San Francisco and Seattle are very mirror images of each other. And the reason I say that is this. Two teams that when both are healthy, they got really good offensive lines. The defensive lines can put pressure on the quarterback. I might lean towards Seattle's secondary being better overall as far as being able to cover. I think that's the one weakness San Francisco has. I don't know if they have really good man-to-man cover guys, and they kind of got exposed last night a little bit, quarterback-wise, when Brock and Gino are kind of playing at a high level. I don't know about you, Brock, but I look at them as kind of what and what, even though, both of them, neither one of them are going to wow you with their athleticism. They both can play from the pocket. They both have proven to be able to make some big-time throws in situations. So I don't know if I give the edge to either one when they're both playing at their best. So that game usually comes down to who can kind of create the most turnovers. So that's kind of how I look at the NFC, man. And then once you get in dance, guys, it's all about matchups at that point because who's going to have the game, where's it going to be at, who do we match up with? And so the same teams I think we thought that were going to be there at the beginning, maybe except Green Bay, because I think we all thought Green Bay would be better than they are right now. Those teams are kind of rounding into form right now.